This is Kathy Mason from MasonWorks Marketing here on Conscious Business Zone with my new friend, Jody Long. Hi, how are you?
Hi, how are you, Kathy?
Oh, I am so excited to meet you and to hear, you have been doing near-death experience research, and you've been the webmaster, which I know what that's like from my work. So you've seen everything because you have to put it all in there, and you have to understand it enough to put it all in there. So you have been a researcher. You and your husband have been researching near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences, basically paranormal experiences for over 20 years. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, so tell us. First of all, how did that happen?
Well, part of it is ever since I was a youngster, I've always been interested in paranormal type of things, and so I kept up with it. I actually lived in Southern California for a while, and when you do that, you get to see many different ideas and lifestyles and things down there because it's very progressive. And one of the things that I loved doing was being able to see all the different, I come from the Pacific Northwest, and you have a little bit of that, but you don't have a lot of the, like the Reiki and there was just a lot of and channeling and hands-on healing and out-of-body experience. I mean, there were all kinds of things down in Southern California, and I thought it was a lot of fun to explore. So I got to explore my spirituality, and I'm actually quite comfortable with that. And then now, when Jeff, he was getting ready to make a transition with his job, and he decided he was going to interview up in the Tacoma area. And I asked him, and so I was single at the time, and I said, and so we met on love@aol.com. I mean, that was a long time ago. But he came and we met, and he started talking about near-death experiences. And I said, gee, I thought I knew about everything. And I obviously didn't. I said, I never heard of that before. But I figured, oh, well, he's happy about it. I'll listen. So, but one thing leads to another, and we decided to stay together and, proceed with the relationship. And he stayed in Tacoma, and I was able to help him with the website. And then pretty soon it's like, hey, I'm working so hard, you take it. I said, okay. And so that's basically how that one started. And it just kept growing from there.
So you have, I guess my first thing when I started looking at, you have 3 websites, and one is for out-of-body experiences.
Well, not solely. Solely.
Okay, that's what's confusing.
Okay, the near-death experience website is our biggest one. Okay. And we get like 500,000 hits a month. I mean, and it's a worldwide thing. It's not just a little bit. That's kind of like our flagship right there. Okay. And that's the one that all the research comes off of. Okay. But it actually comes off of all of them, really, because people like to share their experience regardless. And so which website they're on. So we get all kinds of stuff. But the near-death experiences one, NDERF.org. Then we have the ADCRF.org, which is the After Death Communication Research Foundation. Yeah. And that one is pretty much like after death communication. It is also about the deathbed visions and some of the things that are related with spirits from the other side communicating with this side. Okay. We also have the Out-of-Body Experience Research Foundation. Started out as an OBE website, but when the amount of experiences we were having, you start to see that it's basically a spectrum of experiences. And so that became everything that is not a near-death experience or an after-death communication experience. And so we have just about everything you could think of.
Okay. Well, so I'm going to put up just so that you can guide me so everyone can see your website. So this
Okay.
is the near death experience website. And you there on the front, you have a documentary called Hidden Beyond the Veil. You have the trailer for it, and both you and Jeffrey are on the front of the website. Good job, webmaster.
Thank you.
And then I guess so Hidden Beyond the Veil. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? And I think there's another
Well, this one that you're on right now is actually our it's our nonprofit organization.
okay.
And so that's what this one is, because we're doing an outreach, and we have like our philosophy and our and what we were founded on, and it's basically to teach about the research and teach about educationally wise, about what is a near-death experience, what happens, and how do you live with it afterwards. And you've got so many different aspects of it, because you've got your people come to the website because they may be grieving, they may be dying, or they may be dealing with somebody who is in the process of dying. And then of course the near-death experiencers. And so you have kind of like this group of people, and it's this transition, that death is a transition. And so you're dealing with this saying, look, just because they've left their mortal body does not mean that they stop. They actually continue in a place that is much better than the one that we're in. And so I think that that's a very important message for people to know and to understand, because it puts a different spin on how you live your life here on Earth.
Yes. Yes. Well, when I was looking at one of the sites, I'll have to find it because I opened them all up and I've got to find it all. But there were so many different categories that I didn't realize that you had, just even having a site only for out of body or near death experience, because I had a spiritually transformative experience 18 years ago. I still think about it. I wake up every morning thinking about it. I mean, once you've had that view of something else, it totally changes everything you do, and in a good way, I think. you get to see the higher level version of everything. The game is a little different from up there. But how did you? So you're a lawyer by trade. Your husband's an MD. How did you help with a lot of the research that you guys have done? I mean, okay, so
yeah, I'm in charge of the reading. I mean, and I'll make suggestions or that kind of thing, and I do a lot of the proofreading.
So he does the questioning. So is there a standardized practice for the research? Because I know that when Bruce? I'll
Grayson.
Yeah, Grayson, thank you. When Anita Morjani was on his event when he published his book, Ask, she said that Bruce's research was what she used when she had naysayers or people that said she was making it up, that he had a 60-page document that he captured from her testimony about it. Do you have that kind of system for capturing research data from people? So is it mostly stories, or how does that work?
Basically, Jeff had decided through his life, he had decided that he wanted to learn from the experiencers themselves, because a lot of times when somebody publishes a book, it is homogenized. And he wanted to say, well, how much is it homogenized? How much is it really true? And so he set up the website. And what he did is he started out and he asked questions that he wanted to know. And then he got involved with IONS, which is the International Association for Near-Death Studies.
Right.
And he was on their board of directors for a while. And so he was able to, they got together and said, okay, well, IONS and NDERF, that they would ask similar questions. And so gather this information, pull it together, and see about what was happening. And throughout the years, we've been able to keep up with it. And I'm not sure where IONS is, but as far as that goes, I mean, they still collect things. I don't know how they analyze it, but I'm going to talk about NDERF. But what we do is we ask several questions, and Grayson came up with the NDE scale. And when he came up with that, it was certain elements of the near-death experience, and they would assign a certain, based on Ken Ring's weight core experience index. A lot of these things came back about in the 1970s. And so you have the experience, and they didn't really know quite what it was. They called it a near-death experience, but really these people are dead, and then they come back, or they're imminently life-threatening event. I mean, these death is definitely part of the near-death experience. So they're not really what you would call near-death. They are dead. But anyways, when you assign these elements and then you assign a certain number to them, eventually you're going to find that the ones that have 7 or greater as their number, that these are the ones that have the deep core experiences. And those are the ones that you study, because what you're looking for when you're a scientist, you're looking for repeatability, and you're not looking for the ooh wow factors. I mean, yes, it's over 7, but that is to make sure that what you're analyzing falls within this spectrum of a bell-shaped curve. You're trying to get in the center. And so the 7 or above kind of give us a better flavor and a more consistent results as to what we're looking at with the near-death experience. And so the research that we do, that Jeff does, we both do it because I read all the experiences too. So he's been able to come up with a scientific method to be able to study these and to be able to present it to the world as science. This is not something that somebody made up. It's not anoxia. It's not, people, they throw out the flavor of the day as to what they think a near-death experience is. And the reality is these things are just red herrings. They throw it up and see what sticks. And nothing's stuck yet, So everybody's got their idea of why an NDE is an NDE, or why it's not true, or why it's not this, or why it's not that. But, the reality is it really is a phenomena. I believe that it shows that there is an afterlife, and that afterlife is a lot better than here on Earth. But we're here, we learn lessons, and those lessons are mainly about love and relationships, learning how to deal with people, learning how to deal with our own emotions, learning how to take this body that is basically it's a bifurcated body, because you've got this is of Earth, and then you've got the spirituality that is something that is outside of this body. A lot of people will dispute that, but so far nobody's been able to prove it wrong. Let's put it that way.
So are you saying the field of your soul is outside of the body, or not, and you can't fuse soul and body together? Is that what you feel is true?
No, I think that there is a fusion somewhere, because when I was playing around with the hands-on healing, you can take and you can feel a blockage in somebody's energy field, right, and you can physically feel it. I mean, it feels like it's colder. A lot of times it can be hotter, but it's different than the rest of the body, and you can feel it. And if you move it or try to remove it,
Mhm.
it seems to bring on memories when you do that. So yeah, I think that memories are in the body.
Yep.
And you know, strange as it may sound, I really do feel they are in the body because you can move them, you know, and my hands were not on the brain, you know, when this was happening. And so these are emotional issues. We seem to store them in our body and or maybe in an auric field, or there's something around the body, the energy field around our body. It depends on who you talk to, whether whether it's a hands-on healing like a Barbara Brennan. You know, you've got seven eggshells around you, like
Yeah.
one of those little Russian dolls,
I got
or
the
yeah,
here.
or you know, people may see auras, they may see all kinds of things, or they may just feel it. They may see it, you know, they may feel it, they may hear it. You know, there's many different ways to perceive what that energy is and how we perceive it.
Right. Well, I think you're correct that those blocks that are in our bodies that are being awakened right now with the photonic energy hitting us all, and all these earth changes and all these changes, is that all of those are emotional blocks that we've stuffed into the body. And it's the truth of it is it all needs to go. It all needs to be transmuted, right? So hopefully, not need. I want it. I want mine to be transmuted. Let's put it that way. Well,
Oh,
yeah.
go ahead.
So the conclusion, you've said this twice so far, that the other place is better. Could you talk a little bit about how you got that conclusion?
Oh, again, it's from the research, but it's not solely based on the near-death experience. It's also based on the after-death communications. The people who have gone to the other side, they say, "Hey, this is pretty cool over here," you know, or you know, you can do the out of body, the spiritually transformative experiences. I mean, all of them seem to mostly talk about how beautiful, how loving. It's almost like it's a matrix over there. And it's like Earth is about the only place, or three-dimensional reality is about the only place where you can actually get this, you know, where you can hone on making your personal choices, because you're right in the middle of duality. You've got the bad and you've got the good, and you've got to make these choices. And sometimes those choices aren't great. You've got between bad and worse, you know. And so, but these are ways that we are able to actually polish our spirit, because we have an idea on the other side what it's like. But it's like being you know, they play that child game, you know, they put the blindfold on, they spin you around and say, okay, pin that tail on that donkey somewhere, and you're like going, huh, where? You know, you can't see, how would you know?
Right, right.
You know, and that's kind of what this Earth is like. It's like we can't see what it's like over there, but the near-death experience is probably the closest that we can scientifically come to that is repeatable, observable. I mean, it checks off all those little marks that they have on your scientific check mark list. It checks it all off, that you can actually say, hey, over there, they have love, they have peace, they have calmness, they have joy, they have communication, all knowledge, they have other beings over there that you have known here on Earth as well as over there. I mean, you're talking about something that is so far above our experience. Like, for instance, if you think about it, how many people on this Earth know what love is?
Well,
I mean, how many people would actually recognize it if they saw it? You know, we don't. I mean, I'm convinced after reading about these near-death experiences, or even spiritually transformative experiences, we do not have the proper definition of what love is, because we don't feel it. We don't feel what real, true love the oneness, the all-encompassing knowledge, all these things that are on the other side, once you leave this three-dimensional reality, at that point, then you actually do understand. NDErs, they go over there and they come back and they say, this, what I experienced is what love is. You know, and they'll say, well, I can't describe it here, but the closest I can come is love times a million. Okay.
Right.
Well, that gives you a boundary and a way to express it, but you still don't know what it is because it's circular reasoning. You know, I mean, it's like,
well,
find it.
It depends on if you feel it. See, what happened with me is I didn't have words. Part of the reason I got involved with IONS, I've been involved for this is my 5th year as a volunteer. And the reason I got involved is I was fascinated that people had words for what I felt, because I didn't have the words. And I own a marketing company, so I do communications for a living, but yet I can still feel it. It's like grace. You feel this expansiveness that is so immense, and the mystical side of it, you trust that more than this, and hope to bring as much of that into this.
Mm-hmm.
That's what
before you had that experience, you didn't have a concept of how much love is actually out there. Right. You know, this thing that we call love is actually love on steroids, kind of. You know, I mean, it encompasses so many more things than just love here on Earth.
Well, the other thing is that I think that we were brought up, and our parents meant well, but our parents protected us. You know, these are the rules of the game, and that you should be afraid of this and you shouldn't do that. And, you know, there's a lot of shame that's transferred from generation to generation, that once you experience that other, it's like there is no shame. That's a construct for this plane of existence. So and lots of people with their near-death experiences that I've read so many books. Not as many as you hit, not as many things for sure. But I mean, when people explain that, hey, you thought there was Judgment Day, and you're the judge of your Judgment Day, not some white long-haired being sitting in a chair forcing you to repent. It's nothing like, well, no one says that. No one says that. They all said that in fact, a lot of people like Peter Panagor and some of the people that I've talked to talk about, you know, I wasn't sure I wanted to come back, because that experience was so transformative for me, that I yearned for like Rumi yearns for God in those poems, or Havit. So is that what you found too? Is that in your research?
I think people have different motives and different ideas about why they want to go over there versus how they want to come back. What I've seen is people are extremely tied to their children. And a lot of times they will come back for those children. You know, that seems to trump everything else, you know, because they want those children to be a certain way, or maybe they made a soul contract before coming, you know, any number of reasons. But, you know, and a lot of times people, they go over to the other side and they say, hey, I have this mission, I have this purpose, and I haven't done it yet. I have to go back, you know. And so those are some of the reasons why people will decide to come back as opposed to go over. And the people that go all the way over, you know, we don't usually hear them. They don't fill out forms or anything to tell us, you know, what was your decision making? You know, we can glimpse an idea of some of it, you know, like through the shared death experiences, or even after death communication sometimes. But at that point, it becomes a little bit rarer than you know, these other experiences.
Well, part of the thing that I'm excited about introducing you to my audience is I want to make sure that people realize they shouldn't be afraid of death. that they should be adventurous during this lifetime and go for it. Don't let those fears of anything, I mean, do good stuff now, because this is part of the whole experience. You stood in line to get these bodies to be here right now. Use it. Do it, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I've always wondered, it seems to me kind of strange that once you realize that you're not necessarily judged. I mean, if we were perfect, we wouldn't be here. Let's face it. You just wouldn't. You wouldn't have anything to learn because you'd be perfect. But hey, we're here. And if we make mistakes and learn from them, what is wrong with that? I mean, as long as you learn from them and say, oh, okay, well, there's a better way to do this, a more loving way, another loving choice, a better way to do this.
Yep. That's what I'm calling do good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you keep yourself interested? I mean, do you, after you've done this for this much time, are there so many, I mean, is each story that much more unique that it's not, I mean, you're not bored with it, right?
Nope, not bored.
20 years is a long time. Seriously, when you think about it. Whoops.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. So what is it that keeps you motivated? Are you still looking for some information, or is there something that it's like, aha, I found another one? Is there's something about this research that really lights you up?
I think what happens is at some point you have to have what lights you up is actually the love. And you realize that as a webmaster, you're basically there for service to others. And, you can meet with the near-death experiencers. You can talk with them. You can talk to people with questions. I mean, there happens to be so much world outreach that you can do, and to teach people that death is not the end. To teach, because you're helping people as far as teaching them. You're telling them about what resources are out there for them. You're saying, hey, if you're just starting, you might want to look here. If you are grieving, you may want to look at this or that. It's basically acting as sort of like a guide and helping people along their spiritual journey. So it's not, I mean, you read a near-death experience and yeah, you get all excited. I mean, there's so many cool things, but it's not something you haven't seen before. It's just maybe in a little bit different way. But it's all part of who we are, what we do, what we share. And pretty soon you just have so many experiences that, hey, you just basically have to say, this is what this is about. We're being a loving, giving organization, and we're trying to help people to further their own spiritual journey.
Great. Well, I want to add, I want to show one of your sites, the NDERF site a second, the Out of Body Experience Research Foundation, because I want people to see all of these.
Oh yeah, those are fun.
Oh my gosh. Do you want to speak about any of these? Because I mean, I can keep scrolling, but let's start here.
Oh, sure. It's easy to talk about.
I'm so excited to know about this. I didn't know about this site, and I didn't know about these resources until a couple of days ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you get some of the most profound experiences are, of course, the STE, which is the spiritually transformative experience. And you're going to see a lot more people have had one of those than of the near-death experience. Because when somebody goes to the other side and they're, like clinically dead, you've only got like 5 to 15%, depending on, the study or the person talking, as to how many of those people will experience a near-death experience. But, the spiritually transformative experience, you don't have to die. and
Yeah.
yet you can still feel that love. You can still do some interdimensional work. You don't have to be stuck on Earth. You can do astral plane. You can, interact with other beings. You can have these past life regressions to actually be outside of the physical body and realize that you're outside of time. It's very liberating. You still have to be careful because as beautiful as all this sounds, yes, we're on Earth, and yes, there is a lot of evil things here. So you do have to take precautions, but these, for the most part, are very beautiful experiences because this is where we're from. All of these things are where we're from, and they're just a part of the other side. Right. A lot of the things that are stronger are, for instance, many people will have multiple experiences. Like a lot of people do lucid dreaming. A lot of people, sleep paralysis seems to be a type of experience where the body shuts its senses down and then the brain is able to experience different things. This could be lucid dreaming, or it could be anything from a lot of times it seems like it's a precursor to an out-of-body experience. People have premonitions, see this waking or future visions. A lot of times that's when the soul is kind of like outside of the body, or at least able to access another dimension, and so they'll see different things. The power of prayer. I mean, you see how strong that is. I mean, people love stories. I'll give you one. Mine started when I was like probably about 7 years old. And I was over there at the asthmatic home in Denver. Oh. And I had asthma so bad that my parents had to put me into this asthmatic home. And one day, I had gone to church and I came back and somebody had given me a Medal of Mary. And I went onto the plaza and I said, oh, well, obviously this has to be mystical. This is a beautiful thing, and I can talk directly to Mary. And so I went and I looked and I said, well, what could I ask for just to see if she's listening? And so I said, oh, I got it. I'll make it rain. And so there was not a cloud in the sky. I mean, this is August and it was hot and it was just unbelievably, it's just, just one of those things. And so we sat, I just sat there and I prayed to Mary. I said, can you show me that you hear me? Can you make it rain? And I'll be darned, there were clouds that came out of nowhere. And it did rain. And so after that, I kind of got the idea that, hey, maybe there's a lot more out there that we know about, even at 7. So that was my experience. And I've always had a very close relationship with Mother Mary ever since then.
That's very cool. So did you ask to be healed too? As long as you were testing out your superpowers?
That came later. Right at that time, as a child, I think when you're that sick as a child, it's just part of life, and you don't realize that you can get rid of it, or you don't realize that you can pray for certain, health or for whatever. It seems to have been a catalyst for many things for me, so it's probably a good thing I didn't. I mean, instead of going out and running and playing like other kids, I spent a lot of time in the hospital. So I'm reading encyclopedias. I'm reading the dictionary. I'm reading all these things that they have there as resources. And, that's how I learned how to read. That's how I learned how to get information. And that's one of the things that I continue with today. I'm an avid reader. So was it bad? Sort of. It has its good sides.
Well, yeah, I mean, in hindsight, everything is for the highest good of all, but while you're in it, it doesn't always feel that way. Okay, so a couple more things, because I want to talk to you about your book too, because I want to learn about your book. But I've found that a lot of the people that I have met and have talked to that have had near-death experiences or spiritually transformative experiences, when after they've been able to integrate it, they have superpowers. Like they're clairsentient, clairaudient. They may be better healers. There's all sorts of things that a lot of people get like multiple degrees. They don't do things as, they aren't lazy. Let's put it that way. Have you found that too? Have you found that in your research that when they come back, they really go for it and they have superpowers?
That's not a really easy question to answer, and I can tell you why.
Okay.
Because a lot of the near-death experience is revolved around a person's spiritual growth. I mean, that's the way that I've been able to, that's what I see when I'm doing my studying.
Okay.
And I think that spiritual growth, in my mind, can mean so many different things that you can't just classify things like what you're some people may come back with certain abilities. Some, a lot of times, I think what the near-death experience allows somebody to do is to be able to access that part of the spirit that is outside of the three-dimensional reality. And at that point, yes, they may have what you might call super abilities, or they might stop watches, or they might have this different type of frequency going on. These things do happen. How long do they last? Some people, it will stay all of their lives. Some people, it will not. It just sort of, like, I know one person who went over there and he could tell everything about a person when he came back. But this was something that sort of went away after a while.
Oh.
And so I don't know what the answer is, because I don't think we have a large enough definitive sample to be able to say. But these are things that are out there. They bring parts, they access, I'm sure that it's because they access a different part of their spirituality. And it's not that which is in the brain. They've managed to say, okay, I can go over there. I can do this in time, or I can do that. I can stop time. I mean, they were over there. There is no time, they're outside of the three-dimensional realm. So what exactly is it that they're bringing back? How are they doing it? I mean, these are all questions that I think further research will help answer.
Yeah, I've worked with a lot of different healers that have had either high trauma childhoods or near-death experiences where it's almost like their electrical system is different than most humans. Like something got switched on and they can do stuff. So that's why I asked it. And it seems as though the fearlessness is what I've observed from people that have had near-death experiences. They come back where they might have been fearful before they had the experience, but they come back and their need to express it or need to finish what their life mission was, or the reveal that they got about their life mission fuels them and has them push through things. Rather than, because you look at these people, I mean, I could just name them off. I mean, Ingrid Herkula, she drowned and then she became a maritime scientist. It's like, would you think you'd ever go into water again? But I mean, some of these people, they're just one thing after the other and they just go for it. So that's why I was asking, because I love that. I love.
I think it's great. I think it's really great. I mean, I love to see it too, because I think what a lot of NDErs represent is something that is outside of this three-dimensional reality. I mean, they are reaching like the fringes, the total fringes of what we can actually become and what we can see. But they know how to do it because they're accessing a different part of reality.
Right. Well, they see a bigger part of what's available than
Mhm.
most people.
And I think that's true because, you know, if you're on a spiritual journey, you're going to see these things. If you're not on a spiritual journey, you're just stuck on three-dimensional reality.
Well, the thing is there's an opportunity to engage with infinite intelligence at a higher level.
Hmm.
That these people that's my expression of it, where they've had mystical experiences, however they've had it, whether it's been dream or out of body, remote viewing, I mean, psychic stuff. I mean, these, or they're healers, and they've activated some another level inside themselves, and they have a lot to teach the rest of us. They really do, and this is the time, I think, that it's so important for this information to come out, and for what you're doing to be mainstream, not got to know about it.
Well, it's not paranormal. It's actually normal.
Right. Well, what mean normal? I mean, what does that even mean? I mean, that everyone, I believe we're all in our own holograms, our own expression of what we conceive is reality. And the benefit is when two of them intersect, or more people together intersect, and we all can co-create at a high level. So that's what you're doing with Jeff and with the people that you work with. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so let's, I don't want to forget to ask about your book, and then we'll talk about the IONS conference. But do you want to talk about From Soul to Soulmate? I mean,
Sure. That
because
one started. Uh, One thing that you find out when you start doing a lot of this research and interacting with people, you start noticing synchronicities, and if you're supposed to go in a certain direction, things just sort of, you know, you get like 4 or 5 soulmate experiences all in a row, and that's what was happening with me, and I just went, okay, well, one aspect of love would be a soulmate.
right.
And what exactly does that entail? How, you know, what kind of research can you get from these stories, you know, that these people are bringing back and talking about? And a lot of times what happens is a person will, it's almost like you've got this push pull between what you've decided on the other side, which is basically fate, and what you've decided, you know, where you want to go, which is kind of like your destiny. So you've got fate and willpower and destiny. You've got it all kind of mixed together. And at some point, I've come to the conclusion that some things are meant to be. They're meant to happen, and they're meant to happen a certain way because it triggers something in your soul memory. And so, like this one fella, he was talking about, he noticed the ribbon in this one gal's hair. And he says, I've seen it before. I know this person is important. And so, you know, they might be a saying or a word. There's just something about a word, time, and a place. It clicks. And at that point, something is meant to be happening with this person. Now, you know, as to what exactly that is, I think a lot of times it can be, you know, many different types of soulmates. One of them is the twin flame, of course, which people say are the other half of the body. Like when you're over there, you're all together in one and you come on down. And because of the coming down to a 3-dimensional reality, it splits the one soul into 2 because we're a duality down here. So you get your yin and your yang. I've heard that. Another thing that can happen is that a soulmate can be like a karmic soulmate, somebody that you go through your lifetimes with, and you may trade roles. It'd be kind of like your soul family. And you may change. They may be your best friend one time. They may be your son the next time. They may be your daughter the next time. I mean, many different things happen with those types of soulmates. Dharmic soulmates are those who are put in our way at a time when we really desperately need a pointer. somebody to either help us or to point the way. And then there's many different ways that soulmates work. Do they strengthen their relationship, or do they come together just to learn one type of relationship and then they go on to their next lesson? These are all choices that we make on the other side. And many times you could probably even make them here. Say, well, I can create this reality for myself by choosing to be with this person, or I can choose that reality by choosing another person, because I really firmly believe that there are multiple realities based on whatever decision you make here on this earth at this time.
Yahoo! I love all that. Alternate lifetimes, alternate timelines. Okay, so let's talk about reincarnation then, because you just brought it up kind of quickly about how, well, I love all of this stuff because I don't think I know it all. I hope my audience feels the same way, that there's so many opportunities to learn and get excited about this journey here. We're not victims here. We get to co-create at a high level. And honestly, the idea of Dr. Sue Morter says that before you come down in physical this time, you're like at a bus stop. And there's other energies, souls at the bus stop. And you say, this time I want to feel what it's like to get married and lose and have a baby and lose it. And then the other souls at it say, oh, okay, well, I'll be your husband, or I'll be the baby. And they all jump in at the same time, or they all make the commitment. Is that the way you see it, that it's all pre-assigned? Because you got to think, this game that we're in, this virtual reality game, how do they, I mean, there's all these different levels of it, but how it all works, the synchronicities for you to be at the grocery store, to meet that person, it's like phenomenal how it works. So how do you see it after you pass and then you want to come back? Do you see it like Dr. Sue Morter says, that you make all these commitments, like, hey, I'm going back in on the roller coaster ride, who's with me type of thing? Or do you feel it's automatic?
I think that there are several different levels of answers to that question.
Good, I want to learn.
The simplistic answer would be something along the lines of hey, I was a Viking in a prior lifetime, and I went around slaughtering people. And, this time, I think that probably wasn't a very nice thing to do. I learned about power. I learned about, you could just make whatever you learn from slaughtering people, right? Okay. And then you say, okay, well, this time I'm going to come back and I'm going to experience another side of that coin. I want to be the victim in that scenario. I want to see what those people felt like, because I know I wronged those people before, and I want to experience this so that I understand what it is, and this aspect of power or love or non-love, and I want to know what it's like. So I might come back as a Jew during the Nazis, during World War I, World War II. You say, okay, so I want to be a Jew in that one, and I want to be like living in Poland. What is that like? What can I learn about these things? And you learn different things depending on what your situation is, because you can learn so much valuable about people sticking together and holding each other up and helping people through their misery, possibly unconditional love in strange ways. There's many different aspects of love that you can learn, or anything that will move your spirit forward. And so, yes, there is reincarnation. I've heard some people say that it's karmic. I've heard some people say that, no, you don't have to go the karmic route. Karmic means that there's a debt owed, or a debt to be paid. But, you know, if a person decides to live their three-dimensional life and say, hey, I'm going to help other people, that may be go a long way towards fulfilling something, a need in their soul, that they don't have to hold on to this karmic thing, that they can actually just pass several levels and go somewhere else because they've already learned that lesson in a different way.
So partially what I'm getting is we're not victims. We actually chose a lot of this, even though, what were we thinking? It's like, did I have to make it so hard? But anyway, so, okay, so that's number one. Number two is that you didn't say anything about the people around you. And that's kind of part of my question is, okay, so we have a soul pod that probably all has similar, that's my word for it. I don't know what to call it, but a group of beings that all have the same, let's see, harmonic frequencies that that came into physical, and they interact in the play of life. When you said you, do you feel like those other beings are in the play, or or they can be, they don't have to be? How do you see that working?
I think that the people that matter to you in your life are probably the ones that are actual soul beings, that have some kind of a soul contract with you. But I was reading some stuff by Dolores Cannon, and I actually have come to wonder, and actually I'm leaning towards the part that says, hey, there may actually be shadow beings.
Yeah,
there may be people out there that just act as fillers, right, in your life, and they guide you in one way or another, or help you make these decisions. Like for instance, if you live in New York, all those people are not actually going to be people that you are supposed to interact with on a soul level.
They're like stand-ins on a movie set. They're extras, and she said that the energy comes together. Like if you're at the airport and there's all these beings there, they come to show up as those beings, those people, and then as soon as you get on the airplane, that energy is used for something else. And
yeah, it's really kind of a weird idea of looking at things, but I like the idea of reading her books because they expand my mind. I said, well, could this be possible? Is this true with what I know from the near-death experience? Near-death experience to me is the gold standard. And so is this true from what I've read? Is this true from what I've seen? Is this true from, does it feel true? And so a lot of times that's how I will validate truth. And a lot of times if I don't know, I'll put it out there and I'll say, okay, well, I'll put that in that basket if it comes back again. Yeah. And I won't make a ruling on it one way or another. I'll just say, well, okay, well, that's out there. And see if something synchronizes and does it again, and then I'll say, okay, now I'll look at it again.
Well, I definitely love that because when I had my spiritually transformative experience, I only had like 2 days before I had to go to the airport right afterwards. And it was surreal. And so when I heard Dolores Cannon, I heard the recording of her saying that, it was like, oh, maybe that's why, because some of the beings in that airport were like dead. They had no life force. Yeah, it was very weird. I mean, I just went, how do I integrate all of what just happened? Anyway, I was altered. And
so and you come to the core question: what's real? What is reality? And it just really it can blow your mind, but at the same time you go, okay, well, if I change my ideas, how far can I go? What exactly can I learn if my ideas are changed? And I get excited by that.
You know, you and I could spend, we could do an all night girls sleepover and go, I think.
I'm sure of it.
Because I love this stuff. I love the idea that we get out of the box. I love the idea that we see ourselves as creating at the highest level with and being empowered with angels and other energy forces to help us do whatever our heart's desire is in service for humanity. I love all of this. And I think that we've missed by our training, our culture, which, God love our parents. They did what they thought was right. But I think we want to, Karen wants to have the slumber party. And she would be great. Oh, what a heartfelt, beautiful.
Oh.
Yeah. So what we're talking about, though, is we're talking about seeing reality in such an expanded way that you are not a victim of anything, that you're co-creating. And that's what Conscious Business Zone is for these incredible business owners that are part of the big change, that are using their love and their light to help people see in service to all, which is also in service to them. And then hopefully they'll see the value of the fortification of feeling like you're not alone once you read all of this stuff.
Oh, that's true. You're definitely not alone. Definitely not. I've often wondered, the people who are watching us on the other side. We're kind of like their daily soap opera. It's like.
So I do readings and stuff, and sometimes the angels are like sitting there, like, it's like, hey, is she going to ever ask? Is she going to, or is he ever going to call on me to do anything? I'm here. I've been here for years. And hey, come on, I'd like to help. I'd like to do stuff, but they can't interfere unless you ask. So that's what, hey guys, here's scientific proof. That's the IONS group. I'm going to show the site real quick. The IONS group is it has been collecting this data for 40 years. This is not
since 1970.
Yep. So here we go, and there we can see this is the conference is starting. It's actually the 1st through the 4th, but there's workshops on the 31st. A Reiki workshop with Becky, and she'll be on Conscious Business Zone in a couple of weeks. And so I just wanted to make sure that everyone knows. And here we go. Let's see. I don't know if your picture's here. Here we go. There's Jeff.
Jeff's there.
Yeah.
But my picture, I don't know where my picture is, but yeah, I'll be talking.
Okay. And so this is what we want you to know is that the IONS event is virtual as well as in person. It's in person at Salt Lake City. I'll be there. I'd love to meet you.
Oh, okay. That'll be fun.
Yeah. And this is my 5th year of helping, and I can't say enough for these people that have experienced the other side and have come back, and they're expressing love in everything they do. They're still human. They still got their traumas that they're working through. But in most cases, what you have is you have a feeling. When I walked into one of the first ones, there were almost 500 people there, and it felt like home. It felt like the heart space. So I just want, if you guys want to fill up your tank with energy and heart, and you can make it to Salt Lake City the August 31st through September 4th. I highly recommend that you give yourself the gift of this because it's quite remarkable. Jody, do you want to add anything to that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, to me, you get a bunch of NDErs in a room and everything shifts. And so you're able to access your own soul energy much easier because you're with a whole bunch of people who already know how to do that. I mean, it's wonderful. And so I go along days just buzzing. I mean, totally buzzing because of all that energy. And one time, there's one gal who prednisone was the only thing that saved me with the asthma.
Oh,
And
wow.
her near-death experience was caused because of the she had prednisone and had an allergic reaction. And so we found out that we could walk together, and if we were feeling a little bit tired, we put our hands, you know, like I put mine here, she puts hers there, I put mine there, and then she puts it on top. And we found that we could actually act like a battery and recharge each other. It was so cool.
So yeah, I had prednisone because I had my optic nerve went offline on my left eye.
Oh.
After I used to own a clothing store a gazillion years ago, and I went to a buying trip in Dallas, and the flying with a sinus infection knocked my eye. Yeah, it was horrible, and they put me on prednisone. And
oh yeah, that's terrible stuff.
Well, that if you think your memory's not good now, try that stuff. Anyway, well, wow. So you've been doing energy stuff for a while then, it sounds like.
Oh, I love to play with it. I mean, I guess playing is what I call it, but yeah, it works.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's so cool. Well, I look forward to meeting you in person, give you a hug. And
yeah, same here.
And yeah, I'll be, I'm a volunteer, so who knows where I will be. I know where I'll be for the very beginning, helping set up the bookstore and the exhibitors. But besides that, I don't know. But I just can't encourage this participation for anyone out there that's close to Salt Lake City. If you can come.
It's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
It is. And the people that you'll meet, you'll see they're like lifetime friendships that you create instantaneously because everyone's seen that other way of being and want to encourage each other to be there. Right?
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Jody, the best way to find you is
on NDERF, NDERF.org.
Okay.
And that's the best way, because Jody at NDERF.org.
Okay. So I hope we get to do this again, and keep in mind we might do that slumber party at some point.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Probably not during IONS because we need our sleep, but because it's busy. There's 4 different tracks of things going on. The whole.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of busy.
Oh, it's amazing. But everyone, the stories are amazing. And everyone, they even have an experiencer lounge where you might want to be for part of the time to hear these people, because as people start to have ways to express what they've experienced, it's like this liberation happens. It's quite beautiful to watch because they realize they're not crazy. They're not crazy.
Oh, absolutely. It's a wonderful place. People enjoy it. And I like the camaraderie. And, you know, I go there because I like my hugs. You know, I get lots of hugs.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're out of time, so we're gonna finish up right now. Okay. So here we go. So Karen's gonna get your book.
Oh, thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Karen. Great. And Omar's here. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody. Please share this. This is such valuable information. And I think it's hopefully going to be universal common knowledge soon. I hope. Thank you, Jody. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kathy. It's been wonderful.